ChatGPT. Hello again, Royal Watchers. If you thought yesterday's revelation about Andrew Parker Bowles was the last thunderclap in this royal storm, think again. Overnight, the rumor exploded into a tempest so fierce that even the flag over Buckingham seemed to flutter in alarm. King Charles is said to be pacing the picture gallery, Camilla has retreated behind a wall of bouquets and trusty rescue terriers, and every courtier, within whisper distance, keeps glancing at the ceiling as if scandal might seep through the plaster. The fuse Andrew lit with that single mournful line, "She never stopped loving me," the throne just glittered brighter, has reached the powder keg, and Britain is holding its breath to see whether crown or castle will crack first. Longtime palace observers swear they haven't seen this much candlelit chaos since the night Diana's Panorama interview aired. Yet the atmosphere feels eerily different. Back then, Charles was the prince who fumbled a fairy tale. Now he is a cancer-battling monarch, and every jab at his marriage lands like a body blow to the institution itself. The stakes could not be higher, and Andrew's confession could not have landed at a crueler moment. No sooner had Charles steadied himself after the latest round of treatment than a footman delivered the note describing his rival's lunch table lament. Witnesses say the king's hands trembled just enough for a quill to clatter to the carpet, an unthinkable breach of composure for a man raised to reign in silence. Across the city, Camilla chose a different response. According to two sources, she invited her most trusted dresser to lay out the famous tartan coat she wore during her first public appearance as Duchess of Cornwall, the very coat in which the tabloids once branded her the triumphant mistress. Slipping into that garment today is no random choice. It is a coded message to critics and courtiers alike. She has survived bigger tempests than this, and she will not cede ground now. While stylists fussed with the lapels, Camilla reviewed talking points for a children's literacy visit scheduled only hours after the scandal erupted. Observers are split on whether such stoicism is admirable or positively Machiavellian. Either way, the Queen Consort is leaning into the public gaze, not hiding from it. Meanwhile, the palace corridors echo with the ghost of a question no one wants to voice. If the woman beside the king still pines for someone else, what does that say about the legitimacy of the crown's most important partnership? Every London cabbie, every Midlands hairdresser, every pub counter pundit now claims to have an opinion on royal authenticity. The monarchy's soft power has always rested on two pillars, duty and romance. Shatter the second, and the first starts looking like a gilded chore chart. That is the unspoken dread stalking the red carpet runners tonight. The dread grows because Andrew's revelation did not come alone. It has dragged a second, stickier story into the spotlight. The murmur that Duchy of Cornwall funds, back when Charles held the title, found their way to charitable ventures chaired by Camila'S children. For months that suspicion had languished in the quieter corners of investigative journalism, too technical to ignite public fury. But pair a money trail with a heartbreak scandal, and suddenly every Brit with a mobile data plan feels personally invested. Comment threads sizzle with cynicism. Did a centuries-old estate bankroll the life of the Queen Consort's extended family while pensioners clipped coupons to afford heating? Is William, now Duke of Cornwall, the man brave enough to swing open the accounting ledgers? Anne, whisper it low, if impropriety hides in those pages, could it topple the aura of moral cleanliness Charles worked so hard to reclaim after the Diana era? William has already made his first move. In the grey dawn following Andrew's confession, he summoned the Duchess' chief financial officer to Adelaide Cottage, not to the imposing offices at St. James's, but to his own breakfast table, flanked by bowls of cereal abandoned by a grumpy Prince Louis. Sources say the prince merely slid a slim dossier across the table and uttered 3 words, "Prove the probity." That phrase now ricochets through Whitehall as civil servants brace for a transparency crusade that might expose more than a few comfortable arrangements. If William takes his audit public, and insiders suspect he will, the monarchy could soon find itself under parliamentary cross-examination, at the exact moment it most needs to exude unity. Unity, alas, is in short supply. Princess Anne, normally the family's unflappable workhorse, has already telegraphed her disdain by lifting an eyebrow so imperious a footman reportedly stumbled over his own spats. Edward and Sophie keep smiling for cameras, yet last night a microphone caught the Earl of Wessex muttering about a never-ending soap opera. Even the younger generation shows strain. George's prep school classmates have begun asking whether his Granny Cam will have to leave the palace, and Charlotte, precocious as ever, demanded to know why newspapers call her grandmother power-hungry. In the echo chamber of a modern monarchy, a single rumor can sow unease from the throne room to the nursery. Unease also blooms in Westminster. Opposition MPs, already sharpening Republican rhetoric for next year's Jubilee budget debate, sense an opening wider than the Thames at low tide. A rapid response petition demanding an independent inquiry into duchy finances passed 50,000 signatures before lunch. Backbenchers whisper that if even a whiff of favoritism sticks, they will press for stripping royal estates of charitable tax exemptions. The very notion sends tremors through the Treasury, yet the Chancellor knows public anger is a beast that devours the timid first. He may have no choice but to wave the inquiry forward, leaving Charles to answer questions under oath about transfers he may have signed while still a grieving widower in the early 2000s. As outside pressure mounts, the household war room phrase. Two PR factions offer dueling advice. The old guard urges the king to stay loftily silent, to trust that Britons always tire of scandal and return to pageantry. The younger strategists argue for radical honesty, a televised sit-down where Charles speaks of love rekindled, Camilla of redemption earned, Andrew of regrets faced, and all three of them ask Britain for compassion. That second option would be ratings gold, but one stumble could cement public mistrust for a generation. For now, the king sits caught between a stiff upper lip tradition and a tabloid-fueled age that punishes opacity like a capital crime. And yet the greatest wildcard remains Andrew himself. Those who know him insist he is not naturally vindictive. They depict a man proud of army honor codes, stubborn in the face of gossip, loyal to ex-wives for the sake of shared children. So why speak now? Some blame nostalgia turned sour, as he watches Camilla crowned while he grows invisible. Others suspect a chess move, timed to coincide with whispers of funding impropriety, perhaps nudged along by a Republican friend. Whatever the motive, Andrew has suddenly become the most sought-after interviewee in Europe. If he trades regimental discretion for broadcast catharsis, ratings will pulverize every royal special since Harry and Meghan fled to Montecito, and the palace knows it. So, the stage stands set. A weeping king, a queen consort in battle dress, an ex-husband clutching a potential memoir, an heir sharpening the scalpel of financial transparency, and a public more riled than at any moment since Diana walked barefoot over those palace tiles of heartbreak. Will the monarchy rally with a united front, remind the nation of its ceremonial magic, and shepherd this scandal into the history books? Or will Andrew's lonely confession prove the thread that unravels a tapestry woven over 1,000 years? The answer may hinge on perception more than fact. Camilla's friends swear her love for Charles is steadfast, pointing to the decades she endured as Britain's favorite villain. Critics counter that endurance is not proof of affection when a crown glitters at the finish line. Meanwhile Charles, flushed with illness and grief for both parents, must decide whether defending his marriage is worth risking the institution he has waited his entire life to inherit. And Britain, watching through a blur of nostalgia and Netflix dramatization, finds itself asking the oldest question in royal history: do we forgive our sovereigns their human messes, because they are symbols larger than life, or punish them precisely because they pretend to be? Tonight, as the palace lights dim, a single window in the east wing reportedly glows well past midnight. Courtiers whisper that Charles himself sits there, penning a private letter. Some say to Andrew, some say to William, some even say to the British people. No one knows which version of the story will reach us by dawn, but one fact is certain: the quiet scratch of that pen may shape how we speak of crown, love and duty for decades to come. So keep your phones charged and your skepticism sharp. The next chapter will break without warning, and when it does, we will be right here to pour you the hottest, strongest royal tea in the realm.